you found that competition has led to like surprising greatness in some other areas? Because, I feel like it's kind of a core element of success. Like if you're going to be successful at anything, there has to be some level of competition, has to be some level of competitiveness that is going to, that pulls like more out of you. Have you seen that show up somewhere else where you're like, thank goodness I'm competitive because I've killed it here?
Yeah, no, absolutely, you're right. I think any sports people that drop into other, the next phase of their life, because sport inevitably, the careers are reasonably short. And I think that you're doing this every day, Danica, as well, without being too condescending or patronising. But I think sports people, we are like that. You're right. We go into that next phase because I think that the thing that we're pretty reasonable with is obviously the resilience factor. That things do go wrong. Life is just not like this perfect, angle to success. There's going to be some serious speed humps along the way. And in motorsport and in sport in general, there's always going to be some uppercuts that you don't see coming. You're going to get blindsided by a situation that you just hate it, and really, really, really tough results that it could be completely your fault. You've screwed up the whole thing, and then you've got to come back from that. So then, if you've got that type of resilience post-career, it's going to hold you in good stead.
That's so true. I was having a conversation with a friend a few months back, and it was around like the fact that she had grown up in ballet, which was, harsh and competitive, and with my racing background. And we were kind of talking about like people's sort of resiliency, like you said, about how they deal with difficult situations or challenges, and how we were so conditioned. And so she pointed out, she goes, you and I are different. Like we came up at a young age being pushed and put in tough situations and being disappointed and having successes as well. And it really like builds the foundation of a character that is able to withstand so many more dimensions to life with a level of competency.
Yep. No, absolutely, yeah. In terms of vulnerabilities, Danica, with your career, how did you go with that mentally? Were you as brave at the end as you were at the start, or like I often think naivety is bliss, what you don't know and you crack on, but sometimes when you've got too much knowledge and too much experience, you start to overthink things at the end because the walls, of course they hurt. So how did you go mentally with dealing with the sort of vulnerabilities of managing risk in the car from when you were younger to at the end?
Yeah, there's definitely that old saying, ignorance is bliss. And I think that was a true thing. That's true. I wouldn't say that it ever affected my career. And I kind of think that, in general, sports careers end quickly because, or I should say suddenly, because as soon as you aren't all in, it might as well be all out because of your level of commitment, not only from a time and effort standpoint, but from a safety standpoint and physicality standpoint. And that's why it's a little bit more skewed to something like racing versus perhaps basketball or something, or, because they're not quite as life and death. But, with racing, you don't spend time in the car going, oh God, not today. You don't get to that point where you're scared because you shouldn't, you couldn't, like, you really just don't even want to be out there then. So I think that's in general why careers tend to end all of the sudden, and why there's no build up to a retirement, because as soon as you're thinking about it, you gotta be done.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, personally for me, it was really the wet conditions. I really loved driving in the rain often, but then I started to, and I didn't have any, big incidents in the rain, hard hits or nothing crazy. I had some big crashes in my life, but I didn't have, they weren't linked to being in the rain. But when you can't see, and this, but then when it gets a little bit tricky and you start to I'm just like, maybe I'm not Mark Webber at 25, maybe I'm not Mark Webber at 30, at 38, 39, I'm like, this is a little bit different now. And it just was that, that protection mechanism started to change just that 1 or 2%, which we know at our level is absolutely huge amount. So that's where I started to feel one part of my profession was starting to get a little bit flaky, and as you say, it's all over then. You know, I used to pride myself on going out there and saying, well, this is going to be enough because I'm going to prove that I can nail this in tricky conditions, and often it was worked out okay. But so yeah, the gaps start to appear, whether it's motivation, whether it's like you say, you know, as you made a good example, they're looking at your clock and those things where people aren't invested fully, then it's all over Red Rover.